How's it going, folks? Long time no see. Marty is back with a probably rather lengthy what's been playing / collection update. Let me adjust this here a little bit. Yeah, I quickly realized that I could not keep up with the weekly burn videos. They're just too busy, too much going on. The whole thing isn't dead. I'm just when I have a little more time to listen to music, a little more inspired, I will do them again. But until then, I got a whole bunch of shit here just to show real quick. Let's play in the background. This is an oldie but a goodie. This is Bleed with their EP Womb. This came out in '93 during the whole mechanized death metal phase. Imagine pitch shifters, industrial, but a little more death metal minded, a little less crusty. This guy's really good, really catchy. The drum machine never bothered me. In fact, this was a pretty big influence on my old death metal band Prosthesis back in the day, since we used drum machines because we could never find a drummer, which sucks. But anyway, yeah, check this out. I don't know how readily available this is anymore. Requiem Productions. Seen that cover a few million times, huh? Like Godflesh album and Us and Them. Us Against Them. I can't remember the name of it. But anyway, great album. Check these guys out. Very cool. I'm just going to start going through the stacks. Some of these I may have shown before. A lot of this stuff has been in my office / shop, working, listening to. First up is Germany's Nightingales. Towards the Twilight. I got this as a promo when it came out on Nuclear Blast, I believe, way back in the day. And at the time it came out, I hated it just for the fact that it sounded like everybody else trying to sound like Gothenburg melodic Swedish death metal. And for a German band to be pulling that shit at the time, it seemed a little absurd to me. But yeah, I listened to it back then enough times to probably slam it in worm gear, and it isn't because it's bad. Obviously, I've repurchased it. This is a Metal Mind reissue on Digipack, and it contains some demo material. I believe it's demo. I don't know, there's like 5 or 6 bonus tracks on this thing. I don't know if you can see them. Probably not in this lighting. Whoop. Anyway, this is good. And it is Gothenburg-inspired melodic Swedish death metal made by Germans. And you know, enough people have been talking and ranting and raving about it online recently. I listened to it online again and said, you know what? I was kind of an asshole for slamming on this back in the day, because it's good. So I rebought it and been enjoying it since then. Next up, here's another one I didn't like when it came out. Pestilence Spears. This is a Hammerheart Records reissue. It's got demo and rehearsal sessions on disc 2, but disc 1, jazzy death metal at the time. I really didn't like it. I miss Martin Van Drunen's raw razor throat vocals, although I did like Testimony of the Ancients. This just seemed a little weirder, a little more jazz infused, which is fine. Nowadays, the completist in me did not like the gap in the early Pestilence catalog on my rack, so picked it up. Enjoyable, well done reissue. Comes with a little poster, which I'll never put up. In fact, I think I've talked about this album already. Sorry. This is a good one. This is Fief with the 2 CD set, 1 through 4. This has got all first 4 of their demos, or albums, releases, whatever you want to call them. This is put out by Foreign Sounds and Out of Season. Hey Kyle, what's going on? Fief are one of the, I don't want to say one of the few dungeon synth / medieval synth projects, to me anyway, that get the medieval sound right. They, it's really thin keyboard sounds, but the compositions, the style in which it's being played is very reminiscent of how I would imagine medieval music to sound, which, you know, I am certainly not a connoisseur on the topic, but I, out of all of the dungeon synth and just regular synth bands, Fief are probably one of the best in my book. This is a very cool CD, 2 CD set. It's very long, so get ready for tripping back in time to where dragons needed a good slaying. Definitely check this out. I think Out of Season still has some copies of this. Not entirely sure on that. Next up, for some reason I missed out on this one. I thought it just came out on 7-inch or whatever. I thought I had all the tracks, but it turns out they're different versions. Anyway, this is the New Wave of Black Heavy Metal by Darkthrone. I got this off of eBay pretty cheap, and it looks like it's been in someone's butthole. It's all brown on the cover where there probably shouldn't be any brown. But, yeah, this is nothing you probably haven't heard of. It's got a Tester's cover, Bad Attitude. Canadian Metal, I think, is a different version than what's on the album. Wisdom of the Dead, and another song in Norwegian. It's Darkthrone, therefore I mostly love it. This later day Darkthrone stuff is certainly not as good as their early and middle era black metal period, but you know, it's still good. Certainly not my favorite, but I had to have it to complete the collection. Speaking of Darkthrone, I've got the new album on the way, so we'll talk about that when it gets here. Next up, Subhumans, Internal Riot. I'm a big Subhumans fan. I love UK punk, and these guys are, to me, traditional UK anarcho-punk. This is a newer album. I think it came out in... I wish I could see. My eyes are going to shit, and I don't have glasses. But in the mid-2000s, I think. 2006 or 2009. But you know what? It sounds like their old stuff. Maybe a little more commercial, a little more poppy. There's a little less reggae in here, which that would creep into the earlier material. This band also splintered off to be in a reggae-ish inspired band called Citizen Fish, which I could really care less about, but always been a Subhumans fan, and if you are into punk, especially of the English variety, Subhumans definitely will set you right. Recently, I had to get this. I've known King Fowley for a long time. We're not best of friends, don't get me wrong, but I ran into the guy, we've talked, I've interviewed him, super nice dude, super true to what he believes in, and he'll always have my support. And I had to pick up Ghostly White, and honestly, this is the best. I mean, Deceased has never put out a bad album, ever. But this is quite possibly their best in a lot of years. It's just so... the spirit of metal is just raging through these riffs. Super great guitar work. Mike Smith and the other guy, sorry, don't remember his name. Really did a great job writing this material. And Dave, their drummer, passed away. This is his last performance. Dave Castillo. He'd be very proud of this album. I think King told me that he heard it before he passed, so that's awesome. He did a great job. This is a great album. Definitely check it out. It's on Hell's Headbangers. True metal, pure metal spirit mixed in a death metal vein, death metal husk. King sounds great. His growling is still awesome. He can still belt out some in-key screaming if he needs to. Awesome album. Definitely, people are ranting and raving about it for a reason. It is that good. This is one I got cheap somewhere. Funerus Reduced to Sludge. This is Jill McKenty, John's wife's band. John's in the band, actually. And it's just good, doomy death metal. Really nothing... let them eat sludge. Nothing really to say other than that. It's really good, solid, doomy death metal. Jill's vocals are great. And this is a good band. I don't know, if there are health issues, if this project's going to continue on, but hope they do. It's all good. Next up, Sulfur Aeon, the Sigh of Cosmic Chaos. I've had this for a while, and I've listened to it quite a bit. This band, as far as I'm concerned, is the be-all, end-all band when it comes to modern death metal. Modern death metal, this is something you're going to hear me talk about quite a bit here and there. And I might get into it here again, but modern death metal is good. Don't get me wrong. And I just think it's really I think it's going to be kind of a flash in the pan style, because a lot of these bands are centering on a very polluted, very murky, evil tone, sound production, where they're relying on really simplistic riffs for mileage, and they're getting a lot of mileage on these simplistic riffs, and what's really carrying the bands are their sound and really dark heavily reverb vocals. And once you get past the sound and really listen to what's going on, there isn't a lot going on. But having said that, Sulfur Aeon is one of those bands that is not. It's a modern death metal band. They are very good. They have that murky, dark production, dark sound, really dark, deep vocals, but the riffs themselves are crazy technical, catchy, which is weird to have catchy and technical, but these guys are great, and this is a great album. All their albums are good. They have 3 of them out. You should definitely check them out. Definitely at the leader of the pack when it comes to modern death metal. Black Viper. I wish I knew the name of the guy that told me about this. It was a YouTuber I'd never seen before. He had Black Viper's Hellions of Fire in his year-end list last year. And I checked it out and went, holy shit. Because this is Norwegian speed metal, modern Norwegian speed metal, but they are trying to sound like, I don't know if they're trying to sound like it, but they sound very much reminiscent of Agent Steel. So yeah, you got blazing double bass, fire drums, and vocals that could break a wine glass, piercing screams, really fast driving guitar work. Very much, there's no blast beats on this. It's very much 80s thrash / speed metal, influenced. Very good. There's one song on here that's got kind of a cock rocky rhythm that starts the song off. But other than that, Hellions of Fire, awesome album. Check it out if you're into that stuff. Just got this recently. I have been in an endless pit of Manila Road worship for the last month. It's been ridiculous. I've listened to so much Manila Road, and since Mark Shelton passed away last year before, can't remember exactly when, there's some stuff surfacing that had never seen the light of day before, such as this Shelton Chastain The Edge of Sanity 88 demo session. These two got together, I think, what does it say here? Mark Shelton, all vocals, lyrics, and melodies. David T. Chastain, all guitars, bass, drum programming, and Kurzweil. So, with Mark singing, a lot of this is very Manila Road-ish sounding, but perhaps a bit more technical at times. Chastain's playing, you can definitely tell the songs that Chastain wrote and the songs that Shelton had a little more heavy hand in writing, sculpting, as they sound a little bit more Manila Road-ish. But this is pretty cool, man. I picked this up on eBay recently. It's on Leviathan Worldwide, Pure Steel Records. Is it something I needed to have? No. Is it something I'm going to listen to a lot? No, probably not. But I'm very glad I have it. There are 4 tracks on here, with the last song being Orpheus Descending, which is earlier, but it's a longer 21-minute extended track. So basically you get this 2 songs twice, but almost double the length the second time. For, you know, Manila Road fans, definitely check this out. It's definitely cool. Interesting to hear. Like, again, it's not going to be blazing up my CD player, but glad I got it. Hail the Shark. Some of these were given to me by a friend. In fact, all 3 of these were. Enslaved M. Honestly, I'm not the world's biggest modern day Enslaved fan. I think Isa and the one after it, Rune, are the 2, they're great albums. Those are the last 2 that I really, really loved and fell in love with. And since then, these guys have just fallen off into prog territory, which some people dig that. It's obviously widened their fan base. I prefer the grittier, nastier, more Norwegian black metal sounding spirit that lies at the heart of this band, which is still here. This is actually quite a good album. I've listened to it probably 4 times, which is more than I've listened to any of the leading up to any of the Enslaved albums leading up to this one. So, are they turning a corner? Are they going to go back to the roots? Probably not, but this is still a decent album. I believe these guys are Italian. I'm not entirely certain. Emin Will with Elenian and Kalima. Basically, this is summoning worship with black. I would say with black metal influences. Well, summoning has black metal influences. Basically, it is nice black metal with heavy synth passages, as in maybe a little more dungeon synth leaning than epic movie soundtrack synths like Summoning uses, but there's definitely a similarity here. Both of this band's albums are good. This one's really good. I've listened to it quite a bit. It's really nice when they drop off into dungeon synth territory and then bring in the black metal. It's definitely a very cool aesthetic. You guys should check these guys out. You know, speaking of polluted, simplistic death metal, this band is one of them. Titan Blood Death. This was given to me recently. This band is kind of exactly what I was talking about earlier. It's borderline war metal, dark polluted production. Boring. It's just boring. I mean, once you get over the initial attack of it and the feel and the buzz of it, it's really pretty boring, and people have been ranting and raving and shitting their pants over this every time they put out an album, which, you know, if you're into that sort of thing, if you're into war metal and stuff, that's great. I take it in very small doses, and this is just this is going to be a placeholder. I probably won't get rid of it. I'll come back to it once in a while, see if my opinions change on it, which they could entirely do so. Anyway, I think this shit's boring. They're good, it's talented, it sounds right, everything's right about it, but, you know, as a whole package, there really isn't a lot going on other than a in-your-face attack. Take that as you will. Next up is Estuary of Calamity. This is an older release. This is on Source of Deluge Records. My buddy Ben reminded me about these guys, and I was reminded that I never had this album. And it features Ash Thomas from Faith Extractor and what the hell's the other band he's in? Estuary and brain fart. Anyway, this is death metal with a very flowery synth accompaniment. The synths are a little overblown on this, but there might even, I only listened to it twice, and I was listening to a lot of stuff when this came in. Seemed like there was some female singing on this too. I don't remember. Some lady singing. I could be wrong, but the synth work kind of bugged me on here. The songs are okay. They're kind of technical. They range from melodic death metal to more technical death metal mixed with a heavy-handed shot of keyboards. Haven't listened to this one enough to have it really sink in and get a really good, strong feeling for it, but I liked it. A few problems with it here and there, but that's my own taste, not something to completely go against the band for. I think I've already talked about these. I have. Next up, speaking of black metal mixed with dungeon synth, we have, I think this band is Russian, Druidin Forest. I've got Paths of the Dead and The Love Master's Time. Oh yeah. This is the earlier Paths of the Dead. This is The Love Master's Time. This is the better of the two. This is pretty much straight up good cult black metal mixed with dungeon synth accompaniment. This one is more synth dominant, but the synth sounds are really cheap and cheesy, and it gives this a really thin and weak sound. So yeah, this is a one and done listen for me. This one I've listened to probably 3 times. The black metal on it is really good. One of these had a weird cover on it, and I cannot remember what it is. Anyway, I don't know. I think it's basically Tolkien influence black metal with dungeon synth. Pretty good. It's on GS Productions. I think I got this from Out of Season as well in an order. Good stuff. Check out Druidin Forest. Next up, this is a local band to me. Super good guys. They've been over to the house for Metal Night, having beers, listening to music. Super good dudes. My band, they opened for my band The Glorious Dead in our last local show. This is Undercroft, self-titled CD. 5 songs on this. This is exceptionally good cult black metal. Definite Scandinavian vibe. Drum machine on this, although they have a drummer now. But the drum machine does not deter at all from the spirit or atmosphere of the album. They've produced it. They've mixed it low enough in the wash of distortion where it sounds natural. Songs on this are really good. Really acidic, cancerous screams and melodious but dissonant music. Fucking excellent, man. I got copies of this in for the distro. I have not uploaded it to the distro yet, but I will be doing it next week. Definitely check out Undercroft. I know there's a South American Undercroft. I think there was a Swedish death metal Undercroft for a while. But, you know, these guys are US, and there's no mistaking them for barbaric South American death metal or Swedish death metal. They're definitely cult black metal. It's very good. Check them out. I think there's a YouTube link too. If I wasn't so lazy, I would put it up there, but pretty lazy. Probably not going to do that. Evoken, filling in the holes. I've got one more. I've got this is Thesis of Light, and the newest one, Hypnagogia. These guys are fucking awesome. New York funeral death doom, super powerful, super full sound, super amazing, but I need to be in the mood for this style, and when I am, I grab these guys because they're fucking awesome. And definitely, no doubt, everybody's been talking about this when it came out for good reason. It's fucking awesome. Dealing with a guy dying, the whole concept is a guy dying in a trench, I think reflecting on his life from World War I era. Very cool concept, very good. I only need Those Who Caress the Pale. I've got a promo of that. I want the actual copy of it to go in the collection, but because I'm stupid, like I think we all are. We're all stupid like that. But these are good. I don't really have to go too in depth on Evoken because you guys know them pretty well. Oh my god, I got so much shit here. It's not even funny. How long is this? I'm going to do a couple more and wrap it up and have just another one later. Next up, Scanner. I'm a big fan of German power metal, as you all know. And I'm filling in holes. This is Scanner, Scantropolis. And a more recent album, Scanner, The Judgment. This album is not very good. The singer, I don't know. It's a lady singing. Don't like her vocals, not even a little bit. And the music sounds really pretty thrown together, kind of lifeless, and her vocals do very little to spice it up. So really, in their collection, in their discography, that is a definite low point. The Judgment, though, this came out in 2015. It's fucking great. It sounds like older Scanner. It sounds like their original singer too, but I don't know that for sure. And it just by the sounds, he sounds very familiar. Like if it's not the same guy that was on the early Scanner stuff, it is a dude that was in a band in Germany that I've heard before. But anyway, this is a great album, super awesome German power metal, but definitely stay away from Scantropolis. I'm not going to talk about that right now. Let me see what else is here. Pile of stuff. Cannibal Corpse. This is Skeletal Domain. I am slowly piecing in my collection. I've got big holes in Cannibal Corpse, and most of the holes are George Fisher. Not because I don't like the guy, not because I think he sucks. I just got really burnt out on the style. Within the last year or two, I've been getting back into it again. I picked this up from Force Fed for $5, I think, so not much to say other than it's really good. Suffocation, Souls to Deny, filling in, again, collection. Obviously, I don't need to talk too much about Suffocation. You know, they're New York death metal legends, and almost all their albums are fucking awesome. Very good. Mind Snare, Force Fed threw this in for free in an order. I want to say it's grindy death metal. Listened to it once. It was decent. From Blood to Dust. I want to say these guys are Italian too. I don't know why I think that, but I don't know. Forever Underground Records. Older album, I think. But it's good. Check it out if you're into brutal death metal style. This I'm going to talk about later. These I'm not going to talk about right now. And this or this. Last one. I'm not going to talk about this right now. Yes, last one. This is Acid Horse. This is a 2-song single. Came out on Wax Trax. Acid Horse was, to my knowledge, Elaine Jorgensen and Paul Barker from Ministry taking tons of drugs and holding themselves up in the studio and fucking with loops and dancey loops and adding weird shit over the top and no name, no slogan. Much like a lot of projects during this era, like Revolting Cocks and PTP, and I want to say Let Into Gold, though I have not heard that in a long time, so I really can't describe it. But anyway, this is completely dancey, long, drawn-out, and repetitive industrial music, dance industrial music. And I like this era. I've always liked industrial, and I like this era of industrial. And I don't listen to it a lot, but I snagged this pretty cheap off eBay. Never had it. I have heard it. I had friends that had the tape. So it was very cool to get it. And I also picked up 1000 Homo DJs, which is another project that came out during this era, where these guys were just holed up in the studio and knocking this stuff out. It's very good. If you're into dancey industrial, definitely check this out. I don't really know that you need to hunt down a copy of the CD, but I did because I'm weird like that. And that's it for now. I've gone through a bunch of stuff. And, oh, wait, no, I got to do this. This is going to be a long-ass video. My buddy Ben, Brain Smasher, has been sending me little care packages, little VCLT packages, which I greatly appreciate. And this is by no means all the stuff he sent me. Some of it is in my vehicle. And I haven't harvested everything and gotten everything in the same place. But I'm going to go through 4 releases he has sent me recently and leave you with that. First up is Gorefest Erase. I love Gorefest. In fact, the name of our band is named after a song off of the amazing album False called Glorious Dead. But this album is a gigantic groove metal turd. I've had it when it came out. I got rid of it. I've acquired this CD probably 4 times in my life. Every time thinking, I got to give that album a try. It's got to be okay. It's been a while. I haven't heard it. It's got to get better. Never gets better. And Ben snagged a copy and was kind enough to send it to me again so I could listen to it. And my mind hasn't changed. It is still a crappy album. But I'm going to hang on to it from here on out to complete my collection. because there's always this hole, and who knows, maybe someday I'm going to put it on and it's going to hit me between the ears just the right way. And, you know, I think this was a big breakthrough album for the band. I think they got a lot of push from Nuclear Blast during this era. But, man, is it a bad, you know, considering their earlier releases and what they ended up, their album Rise to Ruin is fucking awesome. But this album is turd. But thank you, band. I'm not saying you sent me bad stuff. I'm just saying, rough album. Next up is Drowning the Lights, Cursed Below the Waves. He knows I've got a problem with acquiring music from this band, and I'm glad he sent this because I wanted to hear it, and I didn't want to buy it because they're one of those bands where I told myself I'm done buying their shit because it all kind of sounds the same. There's not all kinda. It does sound the same. And this is no exception. I'm going to keep it. It's good. It isn't a bad album, and I might come back to it at some point. But, yeah, Argath, or whatever the hell his name is, he has got a style and a formula, and he has been riding that bitch into fucking Valhalla, let me tell you. Doesn't know when to quit. And, you know, even Dark Funeral now sounds like, or Black Funeral. Black Funeral, he's joined that band with Michael Ford. That sounds like Drowning the Light now as well. But thanks, Ben, for sending it. Horrified, I believe. I don't know where these guys are from. This is a Black Lotus Records release, In the Garden of the Unearthly Delights. This is kind of well-composed death metal. I had nothing really going into this album. I had no preconceived notions, and I liked it. I listened to it probably 4 times. It looks like, you know, pseudo Travis Smith artwork, something that would be a little too commercial, but it's, you know, it isn't. It's just really well produced and executed death metal. I think I've got a more recent album that Hell's Headbangers put out that I picked up cheaply, and it's really good as well. They got a little more brutal. If it's the same Horrified, I don't know for sure. But The Garden of Unearthly Delights, check it out if you like well-produced death metal. And lastly, for this update, this long as shit update, this is the one Ben sent me. Thought I had to have it, so he picked it up for me. This is Festered, the 4 stages of decomposition. This is, if you look just close enough, you can see the spot gloss on that. It's kind of cool. This is an old band that came out in the early 90s, late 80s, I want to say. Basically, this band went on to become the black metal band And Oceans, which I did not know. And Oceans being who are back together again. I've never been a big And Oceans fan. They started off being kind of a typical Scandinavian sounding, though commercial black metal band that started adding more technological advancements into their sound. Didn't do a whole lot for me, but this here, Festered, is what we're talking about. Festered is straight up death metal. Sounds like it could have been a Swedish death metal band. The Swedes and the Finns typically sound different from each other. The Finns tend to be a little more technical. Song structure is a little more linear, a little more weird. The Swedes tend to be a little more punk inspired, but Festered kind of lives in between those two styles, but it's really super deep guitars, excellent death vocals. This is a reworked version of one of their unreleased albums, and they re-recorded it for this, and there are 3 demos, a rehearsal set, and a live set on disc 2. So this is a 2 CD set. This is put up by Svart Records, I believe, who do a fucking fantastic job reissuing stuff. If I get this just right, it looks like me. Anyway, thanks, Ben. This is fucking awesome. I've listened to it a lot. Right up my alley, which you knew. And, yeah, I guess that's it for this incredibly long update. There's still a bunch of shit to go through, but I'm going to have to save it for another time. Thank you so much for watching, and I am very sorry for the delay in videos. Been busy. Way it goes. Till next time, you guys have a good one.